So hi, welcome back. Maria McMahon here with you. And this is part 2 of my 2-part series, How to Devalue and Destroy a Narcissist. So in part 2 now, I'm going to share 4 more tips, possibly 4 or 5, 4 more tips to help you completely break free from the narcissist in your life. Now, by the end of this video, you'll understand the role that fear plays in keeping you stuck. You'll understand the surprising reason why contempt and disdain have no part in your healing process. I'll also talk about why no contact is vital and what the most important step in your healing journey really is. So stick with me while I cover these 4 tips with you. So tip number 4 is don't let fear overtake you. Now, I talked briefly about fear in the previous video, but I really want to go into that a little bit more in this one. Now, I talked about being indifferent, and that was tip number 3 in the previous video also. But what I want to ask is, what if you have a problem with that? And what might stop you from being able to be indifferent? And this is where fear comes into play. Fear of what they might think. Fear of what they might do or say. I've heard this a lot. I've heard people say, oh my God, I couldn't do that because he or she would think or say or do, X, Y, or Z. Fear comes up in so many shapes and forms, fear of, as I talked about briefly in the other video, fear about, the future, fear of financial issues, just fear of so many things. What I want to talk about in this one is the fear of what that person might say or do or think. Because what you need to understand at a very deep level is what they say, do, or think is irrelevant. It has nothing to do with you. And I talked about this in the previous video, but I really want to hammer this home for you. I want to help you to understand it more. And what I want you to do is look back at how hard you tried to make things better, to make things work, to be your best self. How many times did you bend over backwards to try and keep them happy? How many times did you bite your tongue? How many times did you praise, placate, pacify, please? Hundreds of times or thousands of times? Really think about that now. Just cast your mind back over the relationship and remember how much time you spent trying to please and placate and all of that, and they spent belittling, devaluing, cheating on you, and worse. Now, where did all that effort to make them happy get you? Did they respect you? Did they thank you? Did they treat you the way you deserve to be treated? And I can guarantee that I know what your answers are going to be. No, 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 and no. I know the answer already. And you already know it too. And if you don't, you need to know it and give yourself a good dose of honesty. Nothing you could have done would have made any difference. So you need to dump the fear. You need to bin it right now and decide that you're going to live on your terms going forward. Okay? Narcissists have a way of bullying and emotionally battering you down so that you live in fear a lot, if not most of the time. They make you feel small. They make you shrink inside yourself. But if you reach a point where you can say, and I've also talked about this many times before because it's so powerful and so important, and I will probably talk about it many more times in future videos. But if you can say, enough is enough, I'm done with this, you immediately shift into a different gear altogether. So if you decide that you're done with all the narc BS and the narc drama and the narc's need to be the center of the universe and you can really switch them off, boy, oh boy, are you going to feel differently in yourself. And you're going to see different behavior from them. Now, this comes back to the narc's need for fuel and attention and drama and chaos. Because if you don't react, if you don't engage, you don't try to defend yourself, and you're no longer afraid of them, you take your power back. So lose the fear. Decide right now to let it go and start taking back your power. Decide that you're going to do whatever it takes, and to hell with them. Okay? This is how you devalue and destroy a narcissist. Now, the next tip, which is tip number 5 in all of the tips, is a surprising one. And this is that you don't treat them with contempt and disdain. Now, I know this one flies in the face of what some, quite a lot actually, of narcissistic abuse experts out there will tell you. And I mean absolutely no disrespect to any narcissistic expert out there, because there are some excellent peeps on YouTube and I follow loads of them. I watch lots of their videos myself. But this is one piece of advice that I've come across from some of them and I simply don't agree with. And that advice is treat them with contempt and disdain and show them how insignificant they are to you. Now, I bet you're wondering why I disagree with this when I'm telling you to be indifferent and not engage and to don't be fearful and so on. So let me clarify. Let me tell you very, very clearly why I'm saying this. Firstly, treating someone with contempt and disdain means that you're giving them energy. You're thinking about how they don't deserve your attention or praise, but to actually treat someone with disdain requires effort. It requires you to dredge up negative energy. It requires you to think about them and tap into the feelings about them. It requires that you show them that you are treating them with disdain. So that means you've got a whole cocktail of nasty stuff going on in your head and your body. And you're now out to give them a taste of their own medicine. And this is a little bit like revenge, isn't it, when you think about it? And I'm actually going to be doing a video about revenge very soon, so we'll mention that later. So think about it. This is not where you want to be in your head or your heart or your life. Being indifferent to them means exactly that. You're not interested in any aspect of them anymore. You're immune. They're just a blip on the radar. They are so insignificant to you that you wouldn't waste your precious energy or time on showing them disdain or contempt. So does that make sense? Are you getting what I'm saying here? So if you are, please comment. Let me know that, yes, this is exactly what I need to feel. I'm getting this. Consider instead that they don't even deserve your contempt or disdain, that they're just too pathetic for even that. When you can do that, you'll be making a massive leap towards taking your power back, and another massive leap in devaluing and destroying the narcissist. So let me know if you agree with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on my tips so far, and especially if you've actually done these things yourself and you've got that freedom. Good for you if you have, and please share if you have. So tip number 6 This is probably the most familiar one. It should be familiar to most of you who are watching if you've been involved with the whole narcissistic abuse and recovery world for any length of time. If you're brand new, it's one that you'll need to very quickly learn. So it's the go no or low contact rule, the holy grail, basically, of healing from narcissistic abuse. So no contact is the first most important step you can take when you break up with a narcissist, whether you've been discarded or you've discarded them. Self-preservation and healing cannot happen if you keep the lines of communication open, or if you keep checking in on their social media to see what they're up to. You need to cut the cord across the board, cut them out of your life as if they never existed, and make it impossible for them to ever contact you again. And they will take the chance to flaunt their new supply, to criticize you, or to launch a smear campaign about you. And all this will be stuff that you don't need to see, hear, or think about. So cutting them off is vital to your healing journey. And it's another big tip in how you devalue and destroy the narcissist who has been hell-bent on destroying your life. Now, if you cannot go no contact because of children or other ties that cannot be severed right away, then low contact is the next option. If you have children, you need to have a rock-solid parenting plan in place, and you need to use a communication app, one single communication line of communication, where all communication takes place without exception. You absolutely need to have that. If you run a business together, you're going to have to learn grey rock skills and really hone them. But I also always recommend getting out of any joint venture business that you have with a narcissist, no matter how difficult or impossible it might seem. Buy them out or get bought out and move on. It's possible. I know people who've done it, and you can too. Because in the long run, your mental health is the most important thing. And if you stay involved with a narcissist, you're going to suffer. So you have to find a way to break free so that you can cut all ties and live in peace, okay? So that's a point. If you're watching and you have been in a joint business venture of some kind with a narcissist, and you did break free, how did that happen? Share in the comments how you did that. So that brings me to the final tip that I want to share with you today. And I've saved the best till last. This is where your own uniqueness and higher power comes into play. So my final tip for you in how to devalue and destroy a narcissist is to reconnect with your own value. When you've been with a narcissist, even for a relatively short period of time, they destroy your sense of self-worth, and you quickly lose yourself in the process of being involved with them. Now, I've lost count of the times people have said that to me. I don't know who I am anymore. I've lost myself. I used to be so confident and fun. You know, I don't know where I've gone to. Believe me, the narcissist will steal every ounce of joy you've ever had, and they will do everything in their power to make sure that you never have any more joy or fun in your life. And that's one of the things that I find so particularly nasty about them. It's not enough that they discard you. They're not prepared to just move on and let go and let bygones be bygones. They want to still dig the knife in and twist it as much as they can. Even if they've discarded you and they're busy with their new supply, they still have this nasty, nasty, vicious streak running through them. So this is also why no contact is so critical. Just don't give them the chance to do that to you. Okay, so one thing that's so important, and why I make all these videos, to educate and inform you and to give you tips and to get you thinking about how you can think differently and how you can heal, is that you don't have to let things carry on the way that they were. And no matter how much you were suffering, you can change. But how do you get yourself back? You know, how do you find that you that you've lost? And you actually can do it quite simply. You need to just tune into yourself, to remember who you are, and to know that you're a worthwhile, valuable, unique, and loving person who deserves better, way better than what you got from the narcissist. And this requires that you tune in and remember who you are, to reconnect with your higher self and to start loving yourself unconditionally. And yes, we come back to self-love again. I talk about it so often in my videos and I make no apology for it. I do it because it's absolutely critical to your healing, that you just come back to that self-love, okay? Now, I know it might sound a bit flaky, but I'm not talking about vanity here. I'm talking about loving and respecting yourself as a human being who deserves to be treated with love and respect. I'm talking about connecting to your authentic self. So many people I know who struggle with recovering from narcissistic abuse have a deep-seated belief that they don't deserve any better. Now, if that's you and you're watching, and you have this belief that's probably come from your childhood conditioning, I want you to challenge that belief right now and ask yourself, where does that belief come from? Who told you that? What would it take for you to change that belief? And that reminds me again, if you haven't watched my series on self-worth and self-talk, you definitely should check those out. And I'll put links to those. I'll put links under in the video description so that you can find those. Okay. Now, simply loving and caring for yourself in a way that brings you back to joy and happiness in your life is one of the best ways I know to devalue and destroy a narcissist. Because as sad and all as it is when you really think about it, but that doesn't mean you should give them any sympathy, narcissists will never know true happiness, but you will. Now, a key component of healing is understanding where you are with your experience of narcissistic abuse and whether you actually have narcissistic abuse or victim syndrome. So in my next video, I'm going to talk about that to give you some clarity on what to look for. And I'm also going to share a little exercise with you that will help you find some inner peace and calm in the storm of narcissistic abuse. So I recommend that you watch that video next. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me. I always enjoy having you here. I enjoy your comments. I enjoy connecting with those of you who join my Facebook groups and who come work with me, all of that. So all good. So thank you very much indeed. And I will see you again soon. Bye for now.